The phone rings at 4:51 a.m., and you already know it isn't good news, because good news doesn't call before sunrise. You've been awake for 20 minutes anyway, the way you always are before something shifts. 11 years in federal protection trains your body before your mind catches up. You answer on the second ring, and the voice on the other end belongs to Deputy Director Hale, a man who doesn't make personal calls unless someone is already dead or about to be. Calloway, that's all he says, your surname like a door swinging open. Sir, situation at the East Wing residence. We need you on site in 20. Don't brief anyone, don't call ahead, just move. You're already pulling on your jacket. The drive is 12 minutes. You run 2 amber lights and park in the restricted bay without clearance, which normally would cost you a conversation you don't want to have. Nobody stops you. That alone tells you everything is wrong. Inside the residence corridor, 3 agents you recognize are standing at the far end with weapons holstered, but hands loose, the kind of ready that means something already happened and nobody knows if it's finished. Your supervisor, Agent Marsh, meets you at the intersection near the private staircase. His face looks like a man doing math he doesn't like the answer to. We had a breach in the intelligence rotation, he says, keeping his voice low. Someone inside flagged a potential contact between a secondary advance agent and a foreign national. We don't know the scope yet. The threat assessment hasn't been confirmed, but the director wants the protective detail restructured before morning briefings. You listen. The president's primary detail lead is being pulled pending investigation. We need a temporary replacement, someone the director trusts personally. Marsh pauses. He asked for you. There is a version of you that hesitates. That version doesn't survive in this work. You nod once, and Marsh hands you a credentials packet already assembled, which means the decision was made before you were called, and the call was a formality, which means they already decided they trust you, and now you have to decide if you trust yourself. You take the packet.
By 6 a.m., you were standing outside the president's private residence door with a detail of 4 agents, all senior, none of whom you've directly commanded before. They look at you the way people look at a new surgeon walking into their operating room. Respectful, cautious, waiting to see if your hands shake. Your hands don't shake. The first week is controlled discomfort. You manage the rotation schedules, coordinate with the communications team, sit through threat briefings that stack on top of each other like floors in a building with no ceiling. You learn quickly that protecting the president isn't primarily a physical challenge. It's a logistics problem that occasionally becomes a physical challenge. And if you've let it become physical, something has already gone wrong. You make your first significant call on day 9. An unscheduled event is added to the president's calendar, a private dinner with a foreign dignitary, arranged through back channels in the State Department. The venue has had 12 hours of advance work. Normally, you'd want 72. The communications director tells you the dinner is politically essential, immovable. You tell her it moves or you're putting your objection in writing with your name on it. She stares at you. You stare back. The dinner is moved 40 hours. The advance team finds a surveillance anomaly in the building's service entrance camera system during the extended sweep. Whether it was incidental or deliberate is never publicly confirmed. You don't sleep that night, not because you're afraid, but because you're replaying the version of events where you said nothing and let the dinner proceed on schedule. That version doesn't end quietly. Weeks pass, and you begin to understand the architecture of the role. It's not about being the fastest or the strongest. It's about being the person in the room who has already considered every exit, every elevation, every unknown face, and mapped it against a threat matrix that lives permanently in the back of your skull. You eat at irregular times. You sleep in 4-hour windows. You stop making plans on weekends because weekends stopped existing sometime around week 3. Your personal phone collects messages you answer in batches, late at night with the brevity of someone who has used all their words elsewhere. The moral weight arrives quietly, the way cold does, before you notice you're shivering. A briefing in month 2 presents you with credible intelligence suggesting a domestic actor with connections to a political organization may be coordinating reconnaissance on the president's travel patterns. The intelligence is partial, corroborated but not confirmed. The director wants to take action, preemptive surveillance, an expansion of monitoring that sits at the edge of what the legal framework permits. You are asked your assessment. You sit with the question for 4 hours. You think about the 11 years that preceded this moment, the protocols, the oath, the part of you that has always believed the rules exist because someone, somewhere, paid the cost of having no rules at all. And then you think about the motorcade route you approved for Thursday and the gap in the building coverage at the third intersection and the partial intelligence sitting in the folder in front of you. You give the director your honest answer. Proceed with the surveillance, but flag legal counsel before any action is taken on the intelligence. You put your name on it. He nods. He says, "That's why you're here, Calloway." You understand, for the first time, that your name on paper is no longer just your name. It's a position, a record, a thing that outlasts the moment. The Thursday route goes without incident. You never know if that's coincidence or consequence. By month 4, you have developed a reputation inside the service. The agents on your detail are sharp and synchronized. Threat response times are down. The president's senior staff have stopped trying to override your assessments, not because they've stopped wanting to, but because 3 times your assessments proved correct in measurable ways. And the 4th time you were wrong, you said so before anyone else could, which turned out to matter more than being right. There is a night, late in the 4th month, when the president walks the South Colonnade alone, which is not in the schedule and not something you anticipated, and you fall into position 12 feet behind without being summoned. And the president says, without turning around, "You're always there before I know I need you." You don't respond. The president stops walking and faces the dark lawn and says, "That must be a strange way to live." You think about that for a long time afterward. The threat that nearly breaks the rotation comes in month 6. Intelligence suggests an inside compromise. Not the same one that brought you here, but a new one, possibly higher. A name surfaces in an intercept analysis that you recognize. Someone you've trusted. Someone whose judgment you've leaned on during the reconstructed detail.
You don't confront the agent directly. You don't escalate to Marsh. You go straight to the director with what you have, and you tell him you may be wrong, and here is everything you found, and here is why it concerns you, and here is what I think we should do. And the director looks at you across the desk and says, "If you're right, this costs us a good agent. If you're wrong, it costs us your credibility." "I know," you say. "Are you certain?" "No, but I can't sit on it." The investigation takes 16 days. You don't know the outcome for 31 because clearance takes time and trust takes longer. When the result comes back confirmed, you feel nothing that resembles satisfaction. What you feel is weight. The recognition that being right about a betrayal isn't a victory. It's a different kind of loss. The agent doesn't come back. Nobody talks about it. You keep going. You're 7 months in when the temporary assignment stops being temporary. The director doesn't make a formal announcement. There is no ceremony. Hale simply sends you an updated credential designation and a new clearance level and a meeting request for the following Monday that is already blocked on your calendar as recurring. You sit in your car for 11 minutes before driving back to the residence. You think about the phone call at 4:51 a.m. You think about the version of you that existed before that call. Quieter, less certain, sleeping through the night with nothing depending on the quality of your attention. You don't miss that version exactly, but you remember him. The radio crackles. Your lead agent's voice comes through clean and practiced. "Calloway, movement confirmed. Motorcade in 6. You pull out of the lot. The city is still mostly dark, the way cities are at this hour, full of people who don't know yet what the morning will ask of them. You do. You've already read the briefings. You've already walked the route in your mind. You've already considered the gaps, the elevations, the faces you won't recognize. The thing about this work is that it never gets lighter. It only gets more familiar, and somewhere in that familiarity, in the space between the radio and the motorcade and the day that hasn't fully started, you've become someone you couldn't have predicted. Harder in some places, more careful in others, responsible for something vast and human and fragile in a way that no title captures. The motorcade forms. You take your position. The city opens ahead of you, and whatever is waiting inside it, you move toward it the only way you know how, without hesitation, without the luxury of doubt.